Welcome back to In La Cocina, in the kitchen. I'm your host, Mike Gonzalez. We're back in the cookwithus.com kitchen. We've got an awesome recipe for you. Albondigas con chapote, and albondiga in Espanol, that means a meatball, essentially. So we're gonna teach you how to make that. And you know, Mexicanos, my homies, man, they love meatballs in Mexico. It's something that's close to the heart. And this particular recipe, perfect for winter. It's gonna warm up your soul. It's a brothy, kind of soupy, you know, with meatballs inside. So you're gonna get that protein, you're gonna get that warmth. So you know, when you're sitting around and that snow hits you, and you're just gonna go, thank you, Mike, for making this recipe. Thank you, Cook With Us. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. Let's take a quick look at these ingredients. We've got fresh tomatoes, onions, cilantro, garlic. We've got eggs. We've got also this chipotle peppers and adobe sauce. And if I had to describe it a little bit, it's kind of like a Mexican barbecue sauce. So it's all kind of ready to go. You can get it at our favorite store, De Leon's, you know, Walmart. Most of these stores have it. So pretty easy to find, and it kind of takes all that stuff out of it. Chipotles are, you know, they're smoked jalapenos, so it kind of takes that whole process out of it. All right, so we're gonna start with these meatballs and kick this thing off. All right, let's go to the fridge. We're gonna grab our pork and our beef out of here. You gotta keep it nice and cold and sanitary. So we're gonna be handling meat with our hands. And for television purposes, you know, we're not gonna wear our gloves, but we're gonna make sure that we wash our hands, real hot water, because you wanna be sanitary. And you really should always keep your hands clean and wash, because no one wants to get germs on you, on their food. Let's be honest, folks. All right, so we've got a pound of our fresh pork. We're gonna toss it into our bowl. Also a pound of our ground beef. We got about an 80-20 split on the meat and the fat, so relatively lean. We got our raw egg. Make sure you don't get your shell in there, because your mama gonna be mad at you. Throw your bread in there. Got our mint, salt, and then we're gonna put 2 chilies. Now we're ready to mix. Okay, I'm gonna show you how we roll these meatballs up. So we've mixed all our ingredients that we had in there. Pretty simple process, just like rolling one of them Italian meatballs, but this is a Mexicano meatball. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna make a nice little ball, and we're gonna actually make an indentation in this. And with your thumb, just make a nice little indentation, and this is where we're gonna put our hard-boiled egg in there. And you know, it's one of those things, you know, we're not real sure why they decided to put an egg. It's kind of a tradition. I mean, we were surmising that, you know, they were sitting around the campfire. Maybe one guy said to another, "You want to put an egg in there, man?" And he said, "Yeah, bro, that sounds good, man. We put an egg in there. You know, we surprise people." So maybe that's just my own that's my own history of it. So there you go. We got our meatball there. Oh, these are I just wish these were already cooked already, because I love meatballs. One of my favorite things. It almost reminds me of lasagna, which my Puerto Rican mother, man, she would make lasagna all the time. So in a sense, you know, that's why we put that raw egg in there. If you know how to make lasagna, that's what kind of binds things together. So again, just with your thumb right there, make that little indentation, and get your egg in there. Get a little bit of that yolk, give it a little flavor. So it's just kind of a cool little surprise for everybody. Our next step in this process, we're gonna puree our remaining ingredients, then we're gonna put it in a cazuela, and this is a traditional soup pot in Mexico. So this is something that you can pick up at De Leon's or La Michoacana on Sprague University, or you can find them on the internet. But it's a really cool way. I mean, it'll impress at a party if nothing else, and then you can call it cazuela, and they'll be like, "Man, where'd you learn that Spanish?" You could tell them right here on In La Cocina, in the kitchen. Okay, let's get to the task at hand. We've got our 5 pounds of Roma tomatoes. So we got a lot right here. We're gonna puree, we're gonna do this thing in shifts. So we're gonna take, for right now, we're gonna do about half of these tomatoes that we're gonna throw in here. And I love tomatoes. Tomatoes are so good for you. They fight cancer. I mean, it's one of those, just one of those superfoods that tomatoes really are, man. I just love them. They give you flavor, texture. Garlic, also great for fighting cancer. Maybe not for your breath, but you know, your girlfriend will forgive you. I promise you that. Because you're gonna make her this and she's gonna be like, man, you know, I could deal with your breath. You're all right. Onions, one of my favorite things. Again, we're doing this in shifts, so we're going in halves. And then we got our chipotle. Got our broth. About half of this. You're gonna puree this thing. And that's what you should get yourself a nice blender. If you're gonna invest in something, invest in a nice blender, because man, it'll make your life a lot easier. All right. So this is nice and pureed up. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put it into our cazuela. We're gonna strain it in our strainer. And right now this is on medium heat. We put some oil in there, probably about a tablespoon. And you know, just spread it around nicely. Go ahead and you know, if you pureed it right, it should strain right through there pretty nicely. And hear that simmer. Let it go on through there. If you want, you can push it through a little bit. It should push through nicely. All right, we're gonna puree our next half of our batch, and then we're gonna keep on moving down this road. All right, we brought our broth to a boil. We let it cook about 10-15 minutes. It's nice and dark, and oh, these aromas, they taste so good. So at this point, we are ready to put our meatballs in. Just get yourself a little spoon, or in this case, a big spoon. Throw them in. Don't be like chucking them in, because you know what's gonna happen. You're gonna get broth in your eye, and you're gonna be hurting. So don't do that. So at this point, once your meatballs are all in there, you're gonna let it cook for about another 20 minutes, and then you know, you're gonna be ready to rock and roll and eat this thing. All right, we're at our final step in this whole process. We've cooked our meatballs for about 20-25 minutes. Man, it is steaming, it is ready to go. I can't tell you how good this tastes. So first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna put our broth in here. Real simply, put your broth. I mean, you can do it with your meatballs too. Give yourself a couple of meatballs. Save some for your partners and your family. Because if you're like me, I'm pretty much a meatball hog. Okay, me personally, I probably put 3. Is it okay if I put 3, Lynn? Okay, she's gonna let me put 3, but Frank needs to go on a diet anyway, so. Not true. Okay, so what we're gonna do at this point, we're gonna throw our garnishes on. We got our cheese, be liberal with it. You know, put as much as you want on. We got our shredded cheese here. And finally, the cilantro, one of my favorite things in the world. I'm so happy the Lord invented cilantro because it makes my meals so much better. So, I mean, you can't beat this. Albondigas con chipotle. Let's give it a shot. Party at the cookwithus.com kitchen. Oh my goodness, so good. You want this recipe, just go to our website, HispanicFoodNetwork.com. You can also go to cookwithus.com. So good. Perfect meal for the winter season, for the holiday season. It's just gonna warm up your soul. We're so glad that you watched. Adios, everybody. Adios. 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 Adios.